What's going on, my friends? Hope you're having a good day, and I hope you're having a good week as always. I'm excited to finally be back. This is my first live stream I've been able to do in a month. I got a 30-day or a month ban from live streaming because Facebook decided to backtrack to 2018 and flag a post that I posted about a Muslim imam talking about peace and discussion with those you disagree with politically, racially, and religiously. That apparently is against their guidelines, and it's very creepy because if that's against the guidelines, then literally everything's against the guidelines, which is what you're seeing now. People like the Hodge twins are having their page threatened. A lot of people they've had their page deleted. They've gone after the president of the United States, and it's getting really creepy out there. But I'm very grateful to have my live streams back. But I don't know when they're going to take them away again, because if you can backtrack to something I said 2 years ago about peace and discussion and use that as justification to take away my live streams, then what can't you do? Because that's possibly the least inflammatory thing that you can say. I thought it was a beautiful message from somebody who didn't agree, but according to them, that's a punishable offense, and this is not the world we want to live in. So I'm glad to be back. What's going on, guys? It's been fun. I'll stay at the end to answer some questions. I'll talk about what happened to me, what's going on in the country a little bit. And I'm hoping to make this live stream big. We'll see. Before, we already got 4,000 people in there. But I really want to send a message to Facebook and just to the whole world in general. This isn't even about left or right anymore. It's not Democrat or Republican. In this country, or at least in a free society, you would like the freedom of speech, the freedom to be able to say what you want. And it's gotten so crazy that they can backtrack 2 years to something I said in 2018 about peace and discussion. That's what bothers them. It seems like there's certain people out there that the truth bothers them, an alternate opinion bothers them, protecting yourself or defending yourself bothers them. As you see what's going on in our cities, obviously there's good and bad people everywhere, but there's chaos, there's riots, there's looting and just burning of small businesses. And it's like they don't even want to talk about it. And then they want to censor, silence, and destroy anybody who does talk about it. So I'm glad to be back, but I can't guarantee that I'll be back forever, because at this point, it just seems like they're on a path of total censorship and destruction. But I do want to post this real quick, guys. If you don't do anything for this stream, just sign up to my free email list. I appreciate it. It's 100% free, and I'm going to let you guys know there. I haven't used it yet, but it's nice to have just to get people's emails. And then if I need to reach out to you, God forbid something crazier happens, I'll let you know. Read some comments as people are coming in. Thank you for being here. Let's see. What's up, Seth? Devon, what's going on? Ashley, Chad, what's going on? It's great to be back. And they've cut out some of my other traffic as well, but I don't really mind about that. We'll figure it out. It's just so disappointing to see what's going on. And if they could do it to me, they could do it to anybody. But we've already known that. We've seen them go down the line of people that they said this crazy, they said that. And here we are. Now they're on it. But it's all good. What's up, Mike? Do some shout outs as we do. Drink my coffee. Get back to the basics. Angela, appreciate you. Ian, what's going on? Brenna, what's going on? They kicked you out mid-video? Yeah, I'm not quite sure what they're doing, but it's becoming very bizarre. It's becoming very, very bizarre. And, I'll talk about it once everybody gets in. I'll wait a few minutes or so. Kara, what's going on? Appreciate you. What's up, Jordan? Kim, thank you. I appreciate you guys. Elena, thank you. Terry, what's going on? Kim, what's going on? Thank you. And I'll just say this as people are coming in, because I tried to level with Facebook. I'll just give you guys an inside with me. My page is pretty big on here. I would say it's one of the bigger pages. We have almost 2 million likes. But more importantly, the traffic we get, you can see I get hundreds of thousands of shares every single day, 600 million views. It's one of the bigger pages on all of Facebook, especially in the United States. So I actually have a contact at Facebook. They've, brought me into the partnership platform because they see how big I am or whatever. I don't know. But anyway, I actually have a connect where I can talk to somebody that's supposed to be a partner, brand, or friend or something. I don't know. So I tried to reach out when I got my live streams banned, and I explained, I think I got banned over a message of peace and discussion, and they seemed just very not interested in helping. And basically, after a back and forth, I'm sure they were getting annoyed with me, but they basically told me, you should not talk about sensitive topics. If you don't want your live streams to get banned for a 2018 post about peace and discussion, don't talk about sensitive topics. So Fox News every single day talks about sensitive topics. CNN every single day talks about sensitive topics. All the athletes, all they do is talk about sensitive topics. Entertainers talk about, the whole planet's talking about sensitive topics because we're facing an internal revolution in our country. Meanwhile, they're shutting down small businesses and making us wear masks on our face. So you can't possibly not talk about sensitive topics because the entire world that we live in, our entire reality, no matter if you're left wing, right wing, black, white, Hispanic, wherever, everything is a sensitive topic, and they're so sensitive, everything is sensitive to them. So it's like they just don't want me to talk. They're like, if you don't want to get banned, just don't talk about the sensitive topics. What isn't sensitive nowadays? What part of my, what am I supposed to do? Just sit here and talk about nothing? That's what they want me to do. And it's like they want to let CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, they're 1,000 times more hateful than I am. To be honest, they're not even really as accurate as I am. In a lot of ways, every time they've tried to fact check me on this website, they've been wrong. They'll be like, Anomaly says that the coronavirus on the back of Lysol I'm like, I never even said that. What are you talking about? They're like, conspiracy theories saying there's Lysol on the back of coronavirus. I don't even talk about that. What are you talking about? I get that there's other pages that lie. I get there's other pages that exaggerate. I don't. I do a good job. And, every time they fact check me, they lie. So they shut down my live stream and just give me this dishonest answer of, well, maybe you should just not talk about sensitive topics if you don't want to get banned. So this is the precedence they're setting. And I'll say it again. I could read it. I don't want to. I don't know if it's going to get flagged. But the reason that they banned me for 30 days from this live stream was because I posted the Imam of Peace 2 years ago explaining that even though he disagrees with he who shall not be named, he thought it was nice to sit down and discuss with them because discussing with people you disagree with is important for a free society. That's what the post said. That's what they flagged. That's what they banned me for. That's what they wouldn't admit happened. They didn't give me a single answer, didn't say why. Now Facebook's saying I have multiple things that went against community guidelines, but they won't tell me what they are. The only one they told me was my message of peace and discussion. If a message about peace and discussion and discussing with people you disagree with is against your community guidelines, then free speech does not exist on this platform. And I'm not talking about violence or hate or negativity. That place has no place in my heart or in the world either. But at the same time, if that's what ticks you off, these people are on a pure path of silencing and censoring every single person who leans conservative, every single person who questions them, even if you're left wing. The second that you just want to be honest or accurate or fair, these people are cracking down. They have no love for each other. A lot of these activists will burn and destroy businesses that support them. They'll attack the politicians that have defended them. You had the Portland mayor go out there in the streets and say, hey guys, I'm with you. He got attacked 4 times because they don't care. They're not looking for justice or peace. They're not looking for a successful, budding society. They're looking for chaos and destruction. And at the end of the day, good or evil does not lie in one ethnicity. Good or evil does not lie in one gender. Good or evil does not lie in one political party. If you don't have self-accountability and self-awareness, which is what they're preaching to the kids, which is what they're preaching to the athletes, and they're preaching to you, if you're a liberal, that means you're better than everybody. If you're conservative, you don't have to tell. It's not true. You have to be a good person regardless of your political leanings. And all of this evil that we're seeing in the world, all of this wickedness, all of these lies and destruction, it all roots psychologically from thinking you're above it. My political party makes me above the truth and the law of God. Nobody's above the law of God. Thou shalt not steal. Treat your neighbors with respect. Treat others the way you want to be treated. The golden rule of the universe. No one is above that. Doesn't matter if you're black, white, Hispanic, Asian, Republican, or Democrat. You become an evil person. You become a wicked person when you think you're above double standards, when you think you're above hypocrisy. I lied, I cheat, I steal, but it's okay because I'm a better person. No, you're not a better person. And this is why they want to take God out of the schools. This is why they want to close down churches and open up casinos in Nevada. What's the science behind that? You could sit in a room with 100 people and gamble and smoke and drink and get fat and waste your money and, ignore your family, but you can't go to church with your family? Where's the science behind that? That's why they want to shut pages down, because anybody who talks about real science or asks a question about what's going on, they turn you down. So they can march in front of Washington with tens of thousands of people, but they freak out at you if you gather with 50 people. How does that make sense? Like, what science textbook is that in? But this is the type of people they are. They think they're above their own rules. Rules for you, not for me. I'm a better person, I'm this, and that's where the wickedness and evil is really lying from. And it could go to both parties. So don't become that person who thinks, well, I can do whatever I want just because I'm a conservative, or I could do whatever I want because I'm a liberal, or I'm LeBron James, so it doesn't matter if I tell. It's like, no, that's how you become evil. You have to keep yourself below God. You know, you should kneel to God instead of a Marxist group that believes in destroying the nuclear family, because nobody's above the law of the land. Nobody's above the treat others the way you want to be treated. You get what you put into this world. Some people call it karma. Some people call it God. A lot of people call it Allah. Some people call it Jesus Christ. And I'm not here to debate religion, but I'm just saying, if you don't treat others properly, if you treat people with evil, if you lie, if you think that justice is chaos and chaos is no peace, no this, no that, just destroy innocent families, ignore 99.9% of black lives. You have children getting murdered in the streets of Atlanta and Chicago. Most of these people don't bat an eye. They don't want to riot and protest for it because they simply don't care about all lives. If you're a black Trump supporter, one who got murdered, nobody cares or looks into it. If you're David Dorn, a black police officer, they don't care. They don't care about 99. They just use race for their Marxist agenda. And we all see it. And everybody's catching on, and they're sinking in the polls, so they have to do things desperately in order to try to win. It's pathetic. This country, regardless of liberal or Democrat, you should have the First Amendment, the freedom of speech, the freedom of protest. But look what they've done this year, guys. If you protest the lockdown, Facebook started deleting your content. Now, if you protest Black Lives Matter, they promote it. When I log in, they have black creators need this, that. It's like, why can't you just treat people equally? They're the ones complaining about equal treatment, but they would give me more goodies and more money if I had a different skin tone. Or I could just pretend like I am or something and like Rachel Dolezal. But jokes aside, it's like, these are the people they are. They want to treat others the exact way that they don't want to be treated. And they want to justify it by scapegoating, you know, an event every 4 months out of context. They don't care about context. They don't care about the true story. They don't care about really understanding to do justice. These people will never stop. And I want people to get this message. And it's all love for me, but I'll give you an example of what happened last night. Rand Paul got threatened, and he's now claiming on television that they threatened to murder him over just being Rand Paul. And they were Justice for Breonna Taylor activists. They were yelling, Breonna Taylor, F you. Rand Paul introduced legislation to end the no-knock warrants. Rand Paul supports the Breonna Taylor activists. Rand Paul's one of the only politicians, left or right, who actually put his money where his mouth is and tried to pass legislation so people don't have to have the police coming into their apartments without warrants. So Rand Paul is the biggest ally of the Breonna Taylor if they actually cared about actions over words, but they don't. And a lot of these people, they just don't care. And this is not the society I want to live in. This is not the society a lot of people want to live in. And the polls are flying in the other direction because people don't want to live this way. So instead of learning, and this is what wicked people do, instead of learning a lesson, instead of, you know, being like, you know what, maybe we lost a few people, maybe we went too far, they just keep going further and further and further and further. It's a massive meltdown. It's like, what can we do, besides tell the truth? Should we tell the truth? Should we be honest? Should we try to reach out to people? Should we be fair? Should we stop being so hateful? Should we stop being so negative? Should we stop justifying all this chaos? No. It's not us. It's everyone else. Let's censor. Let's destroy any page that challenges us politically. Let's be the exact change that we don't want to see in the world. Let's hate people specifically because of their race. Let's harass people in public because they won't put their fist in the air for Marxism. Meanwhile, America is a country where millions of people escaped, you know, Latin America and also Europe and Russia from communism. You have millions of immigrants who never want to go back to that life, and there you are harassing them in the streets, trying to make them put up a fist for an organization that is run by, admittedly, a woman who says she's a trained Marxist. Karl Marx is the father of communism. Communism has killed 60 million plus people in this world. It's all over the place. So, and it's not hard to see why. It's like regime change war in the Middle East. They hate Trump so much. They act like they hate President Trump. Oh, he's this, he's that. Why does Lindsey Graham not like President Trump? Why did the Democrats not like President Trump? Why did the Mitt Romneys and stuff not like President Trump? It's not because they're principled. They have a war agenda. And to be quite honest, I think a lot of them have some corruption that they're trying to cover up, but that's for you to decide. but they had a certain war agenda in the Middle East, and Trump doesn't believe in these regime change wars, because regime change wars are like communism. It doesn't work. If you go to somebody's country and try to destabilize the country, what they did in Syria and Libya, both times it backfired because it just creates chaos. And now they're trying to do it in the United States. The same thing that happened in Syria. Protests turned into riots. They used those riots as justification to do more, and they tried to destabilize the country and overthrow the leader. Trump put an end to it. In Libya, Hillary and Barack Obama funded rebel groups, bragged about it. Well, Hillary did, not Obama. He feels bad about it. But went into Libya, killed the leader, and then left the total power vacuum where a bunch of jihadists and terrorists started enslaving Africans. So this is what they did in other countries, and now this whole type of ideology is coming here. But the point I'm trying to get to is regime change doesn't work because you can't just destabilize a country and expect it to get better. And on the same token, to the people who say, well, communism is going to work this time, it never works, because look at the people who are harassing people at businesses. Look at the people who are burning stuff down. Look at the politicians who support it. Look at the people like Ted Wheeler and Jenny Durkin who, try to justify it and then they get overrun. You got a black woman police chief who quit because she's a fantastic woman who actually wants to, be a good person in this world, and they hate her and they're getting overrun. So she got out of there. God bless her soul, Carmen Best. Now you have them harassing the police union chief. Their cities are getting overrun. The point I'm trying to get to is any person, no matter if you're a socialist, you like Bernie Sanders, you like Trump, whatever, it shouldn't be hard to figure out how communism fails every time. Look at the people who are trying to implement it. Look at the people who are burning the buildings down. Look at the people who are harassing people in Washington, D.C. and chasing them back to their apartments. Do you think they could run a business? Do you think they could be a landowner? Do you think they could, be a what's it called? A landlord? Do you think they could run this country? Do you think they could run a police office? Do you think they could run a social worker community that could be better than the first responders? Of course not. These are some of the worst people. It's like all they want to do is destroy. All they want to do is cause chaos. And while they're doing that, they're censoring people like me, and you have mainstream media sources trying to act like this isn't happening. They want to control the flow of all information so no one can possibly disagree with them. Anyone who disagrees with them, they have to flip it and say they're wrong and kick them out of the discussion, like book burning, to the point where the only information you can get is from them. And it's not true. There's some peaceful people, but if you look in Portland, if you look in Wisconsin, if you look in Minneapolis, if you look in New York City, I was in Los Angeles, so I saw it with my own eyes. It's not all peaceful. Some of it is, some of it isn't. A lot of it's degenerate. They're blocking traffic. Blocking traffic is not legal. They're harassing cars. I drove out of Los Angeles the day that they were doing all this stuff. They tried to come at our car. It was like Grand Theft Auto. I was like trying to get out of there while these people are coming at me. A lot of it's not peaceful. And if you are peaceful, you have to identify that and protect your community. They don't care about the Thai owner who owns the Thai food restaurant who got destroyed by COVID. Now she's getting destroyed by the protesters. They haven't cared for 5 years that they're getting overrun by homelessness. My buddy's an Italian immigrant who I used to play soccer with. He had a restaurant in Los Angeles. He's like, I can't even run this place anymore. There's so many homeless crackheads running into my business, spitting, throwing stuff all over the place. The whole city is zombie apocalypse. It's getting overrun with homelessness even before COVID. Now you have the shutdowns. Now you have the riots. Millions of people are fleeing. Businesses are fleeing. The businesses that aren't fleeing can't open. Not a single athlete cares about it. Not Damian Lillard, not LeBron James. They say nothing about it. They've replaced you with virtual fans at basketball games. Now you can't even go to a stadium, but they can go protest and try to regime change President Trump in Washington in groups of tens of thousands. That's okay. You can go on an airplane with 500 people. That's okay. But they've replaced you with virtual fans. Meanwhile, your cities are going to trash, and none of these athletes care at all. They're all puppets. They're all liars, and they want you to just funnel towards them so they can mislead you. And what they're doing, what LeBron is doing, and what their activism is doing, regardless of what they want to lie about, I don't even care. They could delete all my videos if they want. People will re-upload them. Everybody knows the truth. They're setting not only the black community, but America back 50 years. You're talking about so much progress we've tried to make. Trump has done opportunity zones, prison reform, trying to get people back on the streets and into jobs, like literally these things that have been bringing businesses back to the U.S. and inner cities. And now you're destroying these cities. Now you're making people, feel a different way. They don't want to get attacked. They're not racist, but it's like, who wants their building burned down? Who wants to get screamed at a cafe because they don't support Marxism? Nobody wants this. It's only increasing racial tension. It's only increasing people who've never felt away who now have to feel away in self-defense. So it's a total backfire. It's destroying black communities, Hispanic communities, white communities, just cities where people live multiracially, and they don't care. They want to just keep going and going and going, and anybody who disagrees with them throw a fit every 3 months when somebody resists an arrest and they don't want to actually look at the whole story and see who was right and wrong and how to stop this type of situation. They want you to have no self-accountability. If you're raising a kid, or when I was a young kid, my mom luckily, or maybe, I don't know, maybe I just figured it out because I wasn't a total moron, don't play in the street. Don't go into the highway. The worst thing you could do is stand on a street. And even if you're in a parking lot or in a street, you have to look both ways. Even if you're in a crosswalk, look both ways. I almost got killed twice crossing a street. I had the right of way, but I don't just walk around the world and say, I have the right of way, so that means no cars are going to hit me. It's a street. You got to look out. And if I didn't, I would be dead. So I keep my head on a swivel because that's the way the world is. They're telling kids to go protest on a highway. Not on a street, on a highway. Someone got murdered. A girl got killed, and then a black guy who was trying to drive Uber or Lyft is now in prison. So Black Lives Matter so much, I'm gonna stand on a highway, get hit by a guy who's black, and send him to prison, when he's probably just doesn't even know why you're on the street. He probably thought he was delivering a meal. I don't think he purposely tried to do it. He's probably trying to drive on a highway like he does every night, and it's closed down because he didn't know people would be standing there at night. I don't know the full story, but I'm just saying, standing on a highway is a horrible idea. But there's only one side of politics, guys, and I'm not an unfair person. Only one side of politics is telling people go stand on a highway. Only one side's making excuses for it. These are the same people trying to tell the kids to resist an arrest. Whether you're a black kid, a white kid, a Hispanic kid, an Asian kid, a Mexican kid, any type of Latinx kid, you want to switch genders, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's a horrible idea to stand on a highway. It's a horrible idea to commit multiple felonies, resist an arrest, and run back to your car and grab it. It doesn't make what happened right, but if you want to live, you don't do that stuff. Just like if I want to live, I don't run out and hold a sign on a highway and then attack cars. They're running up to monster trucks and harassing them. I mean, guys, this is so simple. It's insane. I don't care if it was Trump supporters. I'd say the same exact thing. I don't even get in front of a truck when I'm in a parking lot. It doesn't matter that he should see me. Get out of the way. I don't want to get killed by a truck. Meanwhile, you got 10 people holding hands, surrounding a truck, standing in front of a truck. It's like they're trying to kill themselves. Who does that? Who in their right mind stands in front of a truck and says, stop, you're a racist, harassing a truck, threatening a truck, calling him names, and then when he drives away, just getting angry and angry. But these are who these people are. It's evil. It's like, I'm going to do the wrong thing. I'm going to lie. I'm going to be a horrible person. I'm going to commit real bad crimes. I'm going to attack you. I'm going to stand in front of cars on highways. And if you dare try to save yourself or save your family or save your life from me threatening and harassing you, I'm going to say you did it to me. Because that's who their idols are. They idolize people who do this as well, and then they become that. It's all wicked. It's not even left and right. I don't like 80% of the Republicans. There's things I disagree with Trump on, but only one side of the political debate right now doesn't completely hate this country and want to destroy it. They want to go to an ideology that's killed over 60 million people, and it's not hard to see why. These are not good people. These are not fair people. When they say no justice, no peace, believe them. No justice because they don't want justice. They put their fists in the air and scream, no justice, no peace. They don't want peace. They're right. They're not lying to you. No justice. They don't want justice. They don't want any sort of honest, fair system in this country, and no peace. They don't want peace. So if they don't allow justice, how are they going to allow peace? They're telling you the truth in that situation, and they're just harassing people all over the place. It's like the kid who their parent just tells them, no matter what you do, it's great. You can write on the walls, you can scream, you can hit people. It's not true. You have to treat others with respect. Doesn't matter what your ethnicity is. Treat people with respect. Be a decent person. If you become evil, it doesn't matter if you're blacker than black or whiter than white, whiter than snow. It doesn't matter. It's not about skin color. It's about who are you? Are you a good person? Are you a bad person? Doesn't matter what your color is. Don't stand on a highway. Don't harass trucks. Don't burn buildings down. Don't attack innocent store owners. And if you really care as much as you say about these people, look at your community. Look at Los Angeles. Look at New York City. Look at Minneapolis. It's been destroyed for the last year. In Los Angeles' sake, it's been destroyed for 8 years. And as it's wearing down, I'm talking to these people, because when I used to live in Los Angeles, I'd go to the Thai store, I'd go to Trader Joe's, I'd go to these places, and I'd talk to people who work there and hear their stories, and they're like, it's getting out of hand even before COVID. They're like, dude, every day some crazy people just come in and smash stuff, or every day people just come in and steal stuff, because in California, they changed the law to make it a misdemeanor. Always Democrats. When it's always this wicked, disgusting law that hurts people of all colors, it's almost always Democrats. And don't get me wrong, there's phony Republicans too, but they made it a misdemeanor to steal under $1,000 worth of stuff. So whether you're in Los Angeles or San Francisco, people are just going crazy because they know if they steal under $1,000 worth of stuff, they can't get charged by the police. The police have their hands tied. That's why they all like Trump, because Democrats are tying their hands. They want them to get hurt. They're telling people to go out in the streets and be crazy and then acting like it's peaceful. And then you go to Virginia. I just posted it on my page yesterday. You have the Virginia Democrats are trying to pass a bill that says it's a misdemeanor to attack a cop. I'm not super Mr. Back the Blue pro police guy. There's good police, there's bad police, there's corrupt police. In some cases, they get out of control, and I've seen bad police with my own eyes, but I'm not this super Back the Blue guy. But if you attack a police officer, you should probably, get charged pretty heavily. It's like, why would you do that? What if you attack anybody? It's like, why? But they're making it easier to do that. They're incentivizing it. So it's like, hey, if you do this, you're not going to go to jail. What message does that tell criminals? It says, steal as much as you want from the CVS. Go rob these stores. Go loot. The whole media will protect you. You'll have Seth Rogen, Steve Carell, and people like Kamala Harris boosting these freedom funds, aka, bail a bunch of people out of jail funds. These aren't protests. Protesters are not getting arrested. The only real protesters that got arrested for no reason were lockdown protesters in New Jersey and other states. They arrested First Amendment peaceful activists for protesting the lockdown. If you're a Black Lives Matter activist, just don't attack somebody, don't loot, don't steal. When they had these curfews, they didn't have them for no reason, unlike COVID. They had these curfews because people were burning and destroying the entire city. And if you don't acknowledge that, you're a horrible person. It doesn't matter that it's not you. If I'm going to a bunch of Trump protests or anti-lockdown protests, and 3 days in a row, all the other people with me or other people in the city start destroying things, guess what I'm going to do the next day? I'm not just going to stand and block traffic. I'm going to go protect these businesses, because I'm not a total piece of, trash that just says, oh, I don't even notice it. So even if it was Trump supporters protesting and other people were burning and looting and destroying, that's when I stop standing and blocking stuff, because then I'm just aiding them purposely, and I go and try to help the situation. But they don't care. They indirectly or directly support it. They bail people out of jail, not innocent protesters getting arrested. People who are purposely breaking the law, like Logan or Jake Paul or whatever his name is, not Logan, his brother, Jake Paul, who's like out in Arizona doing all this stuff. It's like, what are you doing, bro? It's not like he's just standing there. It's like, don't break into stores, or whoever he was with breaking into stuff in Arizona, and you'll be fine. So who are they bailing out of prison? Because no peaceful protesters who are following the law are going to prison. They're bailing these criminals out. Meanwhile, you could look it up. They're releasing high-level pedophiles all over the country. They released one guy who raped a 12-year-old boy. They released another one who was a rapist and a murderer, and he was like telling them that he was going to rape and murder, and they allow this guy to get out of prison? What the heck is going on? I'm not an overly litigious person, but if you're raping little boys and you're saying that you're going to do it again, you should probably stay in jail or a mental facility or both, either until you stop doing that or maybe forever. I don't know. At that point, it's like, what type of person are you? You have to protect the kids. You have to protect our communities. It's like, you could be nice, but at a certain point, if someone breaks into your house or does something like this, you got to defend yourself. But this is what they want to do in this country. They want to censor anyone like myself who calls out all their fake reporting with truth. They want to censor anybody who tries to defend themselves. They want to just push further and 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 further in all the most grimy, disgusting, perverted ways. And then if you put up your hand and say, you know what, I'm not going to let my business get blown up. You know what, I'm not pro-police, but I don't agree with the fact that you're lighting a Seattle precinct on fire and trying to cement the door. It's a little crazy to me. I have friends, their siblings are police officers. I've had family members, on my cousin's side who are state troopers. They weren't bad people. They busted really high-level criminals doing really sick stuff. So this idea that all cops are horrible, let's try to murder, that's insane. But that's what they're doing. Who's talking out about it? Trump? And Republicans, Democrats don't care. Find me the Democrats that say enough is enough, that actually want to solve it. They won't even bring in the National Guard half the time because they're not concerned with it. You had Ted Wheeler in the streets vocally supporting these people. So something's going on in this country, guys, and a lot of people are catching on to it. You look at the Democratic National Convention and the Republican National Convention, it's two different worlds that people are living in. It's one world of just complete deception and one that's trying to somewhat, although there's a little bit of sneakery, remain some sort of law and order and peace and justice and prosperity and opening up and freedom in this country. I don't want to sit in my house for 3 years while they destroy every single business. This is not, and I'm going to get to questions in a second. I'm reading all these old books. I read Color, Communism, and Common Sense by Manning Johnson. Fantastic book, probably the best book I ever read, only 80 pages. He was a black Communist Party member in the United States, intelligent man, Christian, joined the Communist Party, got duped into thinking they were going to help black people, left it, and then wrote a book about what they're doing, Color, Communism, and Common Sense by Manning Johnson. It's fantastic. He's smart, articulate, common sense, just exposing the leftists, the liberals, and the communists at the time and what they were doing in this country. And it's eerily similar to everything that's going on now. It's actually almost identical, and he talked about it 100 years ago. And then I'm reading Karl Marx's Communist Manifesto because I want to see what these kids are thinking. It's really dumb. You compare Color, Communism, and Common Sense by Manning Johnson, who's black, to the Communist Manifesto by Karl Marx. It's night and day who's smarter, but in general, the point I'm trying to get to is these kids think it's a revolution of the worker. They think it's a revolution against the upper class. You know who's winning right now? Jeff Bezos is making more money faster because of COVID shutdown and all of these riots and Democrats. You have Mark Zuckerberg, Warren Buffett, Bill Gates. All the wealthiest people are doing exponentially well because of the shutdown. This is not a revolution of the people. This is funneling even more money to the top as you destroy all their competition. Jeff Bezos was swallowing up society enough. He doesn't need your help. Now you're destroying mom and pop shops, destroying car businesses, destroying this, destroying that. Where do they go? They could just go to Amazon. So you're helping Jeff Bezos. You're helping Warren Buffett. You're helping the most wealthy people on the planet. This is not a revolutionary workers' revolution against the top 1%. You're aiding and abetting the 1%, and that's why they're funding billions of dollars to you. Who's giving all this money to racial equity and racial justice? The banks are giving over $1 billion, not to Black Lives Matter, but to racial equity, racial justice. Let's see where that money goes. It's not going to them, but it's going to go to a bunch of left-wing causes. I'm almost positive. You have George Soros, who's been funneling money into this stuff for a decade. You have all these other people that are massively wealthy, massive financiers in the world, and also huge politicians, most of the billionaires profiting off this, supporting it. Name one website with a billionaire owner who's not supporting this. You can't find one. Almost every single sports league is supporting it. Almost every single media website is supporting it. Almost everything, every big institution and corporation in the world is funding and fueling these riots, protests, and chaos in this country. So this idea that they think it's a revolution of the worker against the 1%, when their chaos and destruction and evil is allowing the 1% to make even more money even faster, is just laughable. But these clearly aren't the most bright, honest people. I'm just reading the Communist Manifesto and I'm just like, they literally think it's like a revolution of the people against the 1%. Jeff Bezos is laughing hysterically. He's making so much money right now, not just because Amazon is a good service, because no one else is allowed to operate. You can't have 25, 50% capacity, but everybody's just getting products delivered to their houses quickly. It's not, you're not fighting the 1%. You're not fighting the top of the pyramid. You're not fighting these people. You're supporting them, and they support you. Amazon emails me every day with a bunch of left-wing propaganda books. Why? Because he likes what you're doing. You're not stopping him. They're just allowing you to do this, and as soon as it comes time, you're going to get wiped to the side. You're just the useful idiot and the pawn. And I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to get to questions. In Syria and Libya, what they do to do their dirty work is they pay rebel groups. In Syria, they paid rebel groups. In Libya, they didn't do it. They paid rebel groups. Who are these rebel groups? Probably just the degenerates in the area who are dumb enough to do the dirty work of the wealthy countries and the wealthy politicians who don't want to, get their hands dirty doing this really dirty stuff. It's the same thing with this country. It's the same thing as these terrorist organizations and rebel groups in other countries. They're getting people, pawns, to do their dirty work for them. Same thing happened to Syria and Libya. It's not like you're fighting them, you're fighting for them. You're getting on your knees, writing phrases on the back of your shirt, putting Marxist organizations or, organizations owned by trained Marxists on your court, and you think you're fighting the 1%? Name 10 billionaires. The only billionaires that disagree are Donald Trump and Elon Musk that I could see. All the other ones love this stuff. They're like, keep going, because they know how it works. Communism doesn't spread the wealth out to people. It destroys societies. Millions of people end up dying, and all the wealth gets funneled to the top. Jeff Bezos is not hurting from the shutdown. Zuckerberg's not hurting from the shutdown. Buffett, he owns stocks, so he should be hurting from the shutdown, right? Because he's a big stock guy. Somehow he's not even hurting from the shutdown. None of these people are hurting from the shutdown. They're getting more money than they normally do and taking more of society than they are. You know how many stores closed down at the malls? Lord & Taylor, this, that. They're closing down all these stores, and Amazon's just swallowing it all up. This isn't organic. This isn't authentic. This isn't free market. This is a total dupe. This is a total shutdown of society. And as we're shut down, riots, and one side, whether they'll admit it or not, they support it. They're funding it, or at least fueling it with all of their media friends and media power. And it's time to wake up, because this isn't going to end how people think it is. And I think honest people know this. So God bless you guys. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. I'm back. Hopefully they don't take my live streams again. And I'm going to answer a few questions. And I want to let you guys know too real quick, I'm moving this down a little bit. It says God bless. I'm going to move it right here so it's lower. But I'm about to sell a shirt and a hat. I'm not a big salesman, but I like these hats. And I'm going to start doing this, especially if they're going to start taking stuff away from me. I'm doing fine. Life is good. Even Facebook, I'm doing fine. Not going to lie. However, I just don't I don't know what to expect in the future. If they could take down my live streams from a 2018 message about discussion, what can't they do? They can, demonetize, destroy. They're coming for the gusto. They're coming for it all. So, I'm trying to figure out ways to, have fun, sell some merch, and, sidestep maybe their power over me. But right now, God bless Facebook. Thank you for allowing me to be here, and I'm glad to be back. I'll answer I'll probably stay for half hour, and then I'll take off. Someone said President Trump will win Ohio. Yeah, it's getting tricky because I think they see that he's surging in the polls. Now they're trying to cancel the debate, or they're trying to say they want a fact checker there, or he shouldn't debate. They know that 3 debates, President Trump versus Biden, is going to swing the polls in Trump's favor. Trump is a great debater, a great speaker, an honest guy. More honest than them, at least. He's not a politician. They know what's going on. They have every excuse in the book to try to get out of that debate. I'm gonna show you something real quick, guys. Hold on 1 second. I don't know if you can see this, but it was G. Edward Griffin who showed me this. But this is probably my favorite book I've read in a long time. It's called Color, Communism, and Common Sense by Manning Johnson and Archibald Roosevelt. It's only 80 pages. I don't like to read that much, so it's nice and thin. But if you read this book, it makes more sense than any Fox News host. It makes any more sense than any CNN news host. It's very ahead of its time, really explaining what's going on. So it's a great read. I got through in a week, and I'm like, wow, it's shockingly accurate, and it shows you. They've been doing this for 100 years. It shows you even in the 30s and 40s, they were doing the same thing to Black Americans. I can read you, a passage from this real quick. I put it in one of my things, but they were calling successful, intelligent Black people, even in the 30s, Uncle Toms. And he said, they're trying to exploit social, economic, and political differences. They've been doing this for 100 years. It's insane. So it really gives me context. And so does all this overboiling of stuff. Do I think Biden plans to step down after winning the presidency? I don't think he's going to win, but I don't know what they're doing. It reminds me of a friend who just does serious drugs. You could try to stop them, but at a certain point, your life is just going to decline and demoralize. So to me, they're just out of control, corrupt. I don't even know if they know what they're doing. It's do they really have a plan? It's destruction, lies, putting up a candidate who clearly is not capable of debating Trump. So they're going to try to get out of the debate and say it's something. They can't stop lying. They're just spiraling. It's insane. So I don't even know if they have a plan, but it's just do whatever, just like wing it and just blame everybody else for realizing what you're doing. Someone said the Hodge twins are being censored. Yeah, I saw that they're looking to delete their page. The Hodge twins are a lot more inflammatory than I am, but they're funny, and they're conservative. So it's like Occupy Democrats is inflammatory, but they're I don't know if they get in trouble. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. There's a lot of people who are really, high energy like that, but their real crime is being conservative, They don't want anybody to challenge their narratives, and I think they do a pretty good job of doing it with humor, and their type of humor apparently is offensive to people. But I watched one of their videos earlier today, and it was funny. They were talking about Cardi B. They're definitely a little edgy, but I mean, that's what comedy is, isn't like, I guess only like Eddie Murphy can do comedy, but if you're not like one of their chosen elites or something, you're not allowed to do comedy. It's ridiculous. They're going to crack down on every single person. But if you study even, I hate to make it about this, but if you study how this type of ideology works, in the past, they do a lot of things. They persecute. They take, your free speech away. They try to take your Second Amendment away. They want total control. They're like control freaks. And now they're going to people's neighborhoods and harassing them at their house. You're just like, leave me alone. Just like, can I live my life? Can you leave me alone? They won't leave you alone. They raise your taxes. They take your money. They take this. They take that. Mandatory this, mandatory that. It's like big government just leeching onto you, and you're just like, leave me alone. And then they call you a racist if you want to just be left alone. It's like, stop stealing my money. Stop mandating me to get this health care. Stop trying to micromanage my life with government. Just leave me alone. But this is the one thing they won't do. They don't want to leave people alone. They want to take, shut down, stop, silence, take. And the second that something bad happens, then they scream and cry victim when they caused it. It's like, it's insane. Any new music in the works, someone said? I do. I have a new song in the works. I just dropped a new music video on YouTube from South Dakota, but I enjoy the videos. I like music as well, but I love doing these videos. To be honest, they're easy. I control it all myself. I get it edited, film it. I can pop it out in 4 hours. Last night I did the David Dorn thing, and then I edited this morning. I like music too, but yeah, I have a little bit in the works. I just don't prioritize it. I like these videos. It's a direct access to the people. Someone said, even if Trump wins, they're going to do anything they can. Oh, for sure. They're already saying this is insurrection. A lot of what's going on is terrorism. You can't just burn a federal building. That's terrorism. They have every trick under the book. If they lose the election, if they don't debate, it's going to be a crazy year, guys. And I'm not the opposite of what they say. They say fear. You listen to LeBron. He says, I'm scared. We're all scared. It's like, don't be scared. Don't have fear. Have no fear. Have faith in God, have faith in yourself. Just be prepared. Just be aware of what's going on and be prepared. They want you to be fearful. When you're fearful, you're easy to control and you're weak. They like you weak. They like you scared. When you're weak and scared, you buy their products. You believe everything they say. You'll do anything. And this is what they want. They want to invert reality and society. I've done this one time, but maybe not on here. I just want to show you guys just a quick example of how they use words and definitions and language to invert what's really going on in the situation. So I've shown this on Instagram, but probably not here. I've been banned. This is a Century Dictionary and Encyclopedia from the 1800s. I bought this at a garage sale. It's like over 100 years old. The word thug is in there. The word thug originates from hundreds of years old, if not longer, but it means robber and looter. It means somebody who steals. And it said it originated from India. In this book, it seems to claim that, it was used more in India than here. So the point I'm getting to is the word thug does not mean black person. The word thug does not mean any sort of racial connotation against. It literally means a thief. So it's when Trump says the word thug, all the media says, oh my God, he's being racist. It's not a racial word. It means thief. And it's been a word for hundreds of years. So this is the liberal trap they do to the black community in this country. They tell them to identify as a thug, which is something you shouldn't want to identify. The Lord said, thou shalt not steal, so you don't want to be a thief. but they say, and I like Tupac, but everyone's like, thug, I'm a thug, I'm a thug, I'm a thug. So they get you to identify as something negative, and then you bash any black person who doesn't identify as something negative. They're like, I don't want to be that thing. I'm just going to be a business owner. Then they call you an Uncle Tom. So they convince you that you're something bad. You lash out about people who want to be something good, who are closer to God. And then 10 years later, they say, oh, the word means this. It doesn't mean that. The words never mean that. They like to invert the dictionary, change history, distort everything. So you think down is up is down, left is right is left, and you never have access to accurate information because they rig everything against people who tell the truth. So these are just some of the games that they play to people. They want you to think your culture is what it's not. They're trying to steal your culture. They're trying to steal your identity. Who you are, who your family members was, your real history. They don't teach it. They just tell you, you're all of these bad things, listen to this music, buy into this culture, act like this, resist arrest, do all these really dumb things. And if you don't, they call you a horrible name. If you try to be successful and smart and avoid that for your own safety and security, then they lash out at you. Do they really care about you if that's how they treat you? They won't allow you to be equal. If you say, I'm equal, I'm not a victim, no, be a victim. Be this way. You have to be this way. They don't like you. Any life coach, any mindset, guru will tell you the quickest way to be successful is to have the mindset of I can do anything, and the quickest way to fail is to be a loser in your mind and say everything's against me, everything's my fault. That's how you fail. Everybody knows it. Every successful person that's ever walked the face of the earth understands that. But they're drilling this mindset into people's heads and using race to make it seem like it's okay. And this is another trap, and then I'm going to get to another question, is they don't actually care about ethnicity. They just use it to censor and shut down the truth. For example, they'll say, well, you can't say this because of your skin color, but I can say this because of mine. But if you could find them a black person like Larry Elder or Manning Johnson or Booker T. Washington or Malcolm X or anybody, there's thousands of conservative black men in this world and thousands who challenge the narrative from a different perspective. If you show them, they still don't want to hear it. It's like they don't care about your ethnicity. They just don't have an intelligent way to shut down what you're saying. So they say, you can't say that. But then if you say that, they call you an uncle, you know what. So do they really care about race? They say everything's anti-Semitic. It's anti-Semitic. It's anti-Semitic. What if I could find a rabbi who says the same thing that I say? I know several. What if I have a Jewish friend who thinks the same thing I do? I have several. They shut them down too. So they don't care that I'm not Jewish. They don't care that I don't hate Jewish people. They care that they just don't want you to say that. So they use these words: racist, sexist, xenophobic, anti-Semitic, Islamophobic. They use them as ways to push a political agenda. If you're a black Trump supporter, they don't care. If you're a black cop, they don't care. If you're a black kid but a white cop didn't kill you, they don't care. So do they really care about Black Lives Matter? What about the health industry? They're telling people it's great to be 400 pounds. God bless you. I don't care how big you are, but statistically, it's actually going to probably kill you faster on an average scale. So if you really care about Black lives, it's not a good message to push. We should be educating, our kids on health and fitness and, sunlight and how much they need and things that'll, help them to a certain extent. So they don't actually care. They're pushing Marxism. They're pushing communism. They're pushing leftism. And anybody who fights against it, they call these names. And I'm telling you, in this book, they've been doing it since the 1900s. They use racial tension. They use ethnicities. They use certain religions as a shield to stop any discussion. But it has nothing to do with black people. It has nothing to do with helping women. It's using them as a shield until you beat that and you're like, well, here's a woman who's black who agrees with me. That's the Seattle police chief, Carmen Best. Black woman, police chief. Does she get a show on MSNBC? Is she out there marching? Does she get to talk? They don't care what she thinks, just like they don't care what most black families think. Newsweek did a poll. 80% of black families don't want less police. Nobody sane wants less police. In this era, you want less police and defund the police? A lot of black people want more police. They did a study. 80% didn't want less police. That's 4 out of every 5 black people who took the survey. So do these little white communist kids care that they feel? They don't care. And same with people who robbed and shot David Dorn. It has nothing to do with ethnicity. They're just not good people, okay? So it's like at a certain point, good people have to rise up because they're using race as a trap. And then the second that you counter it, they don't care because they never cared. It's very disingenuous. If you disagree with me, if you disagree with my values and my politics, I at least respect people who don't hide behind other ethnicities and genders. When you say what I'm saying, I don't just say, well, you can't say that because I have black people who agree with me, so if you say that, you're racist. I don't say that. That's an insane thing to say. I mean, that would mean I'm a liar. I'm not a liar. This is who these people are. They're too cowardly to hold their own ideals to themselves, so they shield it behind more vulnerable groups that they know they're going to get more protection behind. It's very cowardly. It's very gross. And I promise, I don't care what they do. I'll never stop telling the truth. I'll never stop countering their lies because I know it's going to happen if everybody just rolls over. These people are not going to create society of peace and love and everybody shares all the wealth. They're destroying people who make and build things. They can't do anything for themselves. So they're going to create exactly what you see. Fire, homelessness, chaos. They have chaotic minds. They're spreading their misery on the whole world. Misery loves company. So I got enough friends. I don't need the company. So, let's get it. Someone said, let's talk about getting your own platform they can't block. We'll see what we can do. I'm working on stuff. Sign up to my free email list if you can. Stayintouchwithme.com. I'll send the first email I'm going to send out. I almost have my hats done. I'm just moving it down. It's actually in my mailbox right now. But I'm gonna probably launch that next week, and then I'll send you guys all an email. So check your email next week. Do I understand what's going on with the executive drug price order? Someone said. Roughly, it's not the number one story I'm following, but I believe he did something to lower the drug prices, which is awesome. He didn't need to. Bernie always says, I'm going to lower the drug prices, but really what Bernie wants to do is give the entire health industry even more into the hands of government and make it illegal for you to opt out. You have to pay for the health service and you can't opt out. That's not the only way to do it. So Trump did it without mandating it to everybody. He just figured out some way to cut out the middleman and lower the prices, and they're freaking out. I haven't followed it 100%, but I know the gist of what's going on. Someone said Nancy doesn't think Biden should debate. Yeah, I know. It's in my last video. You can check it out. Someone said I've entered 3 different emails. It doesn't work. I don't know what to tell you. People say that all the time, but I keep getting more and more emails. So sometimes it doesn't work. You'll have to try later or something. Maybe it's too busy, or maybe you already signed up. I don't know. Create my own Facebook. Yeah, it's easier said than done. And I'll say this too. People need to hold these social medias accountable, because someone did create their own Facebook. I'll give you, I never even joined it, but it was called Gab, G-A-B, and they created their own Facebook that was free speech. So first there was a shooter who used Gab, and they used it as justification to further censor Gab and shut them down. But so many shooters have used Facebook and YouTube to live stream. So this Facebook has had, David Dorn got killed on a live Facebook, live. It doesn't mean Facebook shuts down its website because somebody used it for bad. It's happened to Twitter, it's happened to Facebook, it's happened to Periscope, but they waited till it happened on Gab, or it didn't even happen on Gab, but they blamed Gab, and then they used it to take it off the Apple Store. So Gab created their own Facebook, they took it off the Apple Store, they took away his Twitter. How can you compete when Apple and Google and Facebook and YouTube are all working together and they take you off their applications? So people can't even, where else can you get an application besides the Apple Store? They pretty much have a monopoly. If you have an Apple phone, that's the only store, right? I don't know. Is there a way to get another app on your phone? Maybe if you're really good at computers, but for the most part, not really. So it's easier said than done, but this is a situation where if these companies are so big in this country and they control so much and they're acting like public utilities, they need to apply to the First Amendment or make a sensible, set of guidelines that actually make sense. They can't do what they're doing. Something bigger needs to be done. I could create my own Facebook, but when I create my own Instagram, I have 500, 600 people on live stream. I had 7,000, 8,000 here. That's a big difference. They're trying to cut out people's traction. They funneled everybody to Facebook, and now they're trying to, control the flow of information. But to Facebook's defense, Facebook's actually doing better besides my live stream ban. Ben Shapiro and Dan Bongino are like crushing all these liberals on here. That's why they're so mad. And I said that the day before they took away my live stream. I said, the ADL and George Soros and stuff are all upset at Facebook, but mostly the ADL. But, you know, they all want to, Hillary, they're all mad at Facebook because conservatives do better. They allow there to be somewhat of a free market, and not like 8 out of 10 usually like top links are like, it's like Shapiro, Blue Lives Matter, Shapiro, Bongino. It's like, I'm sorry, people like right wingers better than they like left wingers. It's not hard to see why. Why does Tucker Carlson get more views than the NBA? It's because the NBA is spiraling and Tucker Carlson is rising to the occasion. You can't, and they just want to censor and control everything. It's like, just stop, just get better. It's fine. And to all the supporters on Facebook, I appreciate y'all. I'm going to reach out to you guys. It's Friday, probably Monday, and we'll have a supporters only live stream next week. I apologize for not getting it earlier. Facebook kind of screwed me, but it's okay. Someone said, what happened to Monopoly still being illegal? In this country, they're trying to just overturn justice. It's like saying one thing and doing the other. It's always like justice, but they're actually not doing justice. So a lot of these courts are being filled with people who don't like the Constitution. They're being filled with people who don't do their job. They care about politics and their social beliefs more than they care about the rule of law. So when you get enough people like that in an organization, things are going to get to a weird place. And even with Trump winning, Kamala Harris is right. These protests and these riots aren't going to stop, because even though Trump wins, you have Democrats run their own areas. Trump doesn't really control it. But also Facebook, YouTube, Google, the NBA, the NHL, MLB, all of the biggest institutions in our society, the teachers unions, the college universities, 80-90% of media flow, education, and big corporate structures from Nike to MasterCard to Visa, most of them support these Marxist groups and this ideology, this left-wing ideology that's spiraling out of control that makes Obama look like Ronald Reagan. These people are going so far left. And then the progressives say, go further left. It's like, yeah, that's really going to help you. But, it's like at a certain point, these people are everywhere. Literally, they own everything. So at a certain point, it's going to get weird because they don't have really plans to stop. There's going to have to be a shift. And I already see it, I think this year is going to be the shift. They went too far. And this is how societies always work. I think there's always cyclical stuff. And we're just in a very crazy moment of our time that we haven't seen in a while. And, we'll get through it like everyone else did. It'll be okay. Thanks, Shauna. I appreciate it. Cindy, appreciate you. Do I think Pelosi's trying to steal the election? I don't know if she is, but she's definitely trying to not have Biden debate. And I don't really know what they're doing with this election stuff. I think they see the real polls, and I think it's not looking good. So they're pulling out every trick in the book. They're trying mass mail-in ballots. They're trying... now they're making the NBA stadiums a voting place. Did you see that today? They're saying they want the NBA stadiums to be a voting place. There needs to be some sort of federal agent there, because I don't trust the NBA. The NBA has gone full insane. They're putting Marxist phrases, and just because these words, it's like Apple. Apple's an apple, but Apple's also a company, So if you're like, have a phone and you're like, no, it's just an apple. It's like, it's not just an apple anymore. It's a company. So Black Lives Matter it's not the word Black Lives Matter. You don't have a phone and you say, oh, you don't like apples? If you don't like my Apple phone, you don't like apples on a tree. It's totally different things. Black Lives Matter, the organization, it has nothing to do anymore with the phrase Black Lives Matter. They just use it as a shield. So the NBA is putting Marxist phrases on their court, a Marxist company owned by trained Marxists. And they'll say, oh, I'm not... No question. You ask these people behind closed doors, what do you think they like? You think they like capitalism? They don't like capitalism. Do they like the nuclear family? What ideology are they operating off of? It's obvious. They'll do a fact checker and say, that's not true. Yes, it is. It's just not popular to say, because millions of people in America escaped communism, and it's killed over 60 million people in this world. So back in the day, you used to be able to report to the government, like, there's communists, and like the government used to look into it. Now, it's everywhere. It's on Instagram. It's being promoted by all mass media. So why should I trust these people with my votes? I mean, now they're going to be a voting institution. Who at the NBA is going to be in charge of that? Or what people are going to look over it? I don't trust that for a single second. So hopefully someone's looking into that, because they're not to be trusted. Their political bias is blaringly obvious, and You know, how they're operating is very grimy. Thank you, Kim. I appreciate you. I said I trust no big company. They're all going insane, and they're all becoming what they hate, and it's only going to backfire. For instance, I'm all for helping people that need help. I'm all for analyzing the situation and trying to help the most people in need. But what they're doing right now is being racist. You know, I don't like to use that word, but it's like they're looking to exclude people because of their race, and they're looking to include people because of their race. They're looking to change all the rules of everything just to bow down to certain people while they discriminate openly and hate on certain people. It's not fair. It's only going to decrease racial, cohesion in this country. It's only going to increase people who are angry and upset and chaos and riots and crime. They know this though, or they're not very honest or smart. So it's like when I log into Facebook, it's like black creators. My friend goes to his job and they're like, we must hire these people. And then they don't hire them. And then they sue and they say you're racist for not hiring me when it's not true. It's like, it's only going to create more chaos, less productivity, because you should hire the best person. If that person's black, then hire that person. Don't hire someone for that reason, but that's what they're doing. They're becoming people who care about skin color more than content of character. They don't care about content of character. That's why they're becoming evil. A good person cares about the truth and the content of character and the facts and justice. Good, they're not that. They're like, I don't care about content of character. If you have a good content of character, they see you as a threat. If you're a black person with a good moral standard, they hate you. If you're white and have a good moral standard, they hate you even more, maybe less. I don't know. If you're a Christian, Jewish, Muslim, and have decent morals, they can't stand you. So it's like they don't operate off of content of character. They don't operate off of the truth. They do the exact opposite. They prioritize skin color and political agenda over everything. But really, they prioritize political correctness. I'm sorry, they prioritize their politics over race. They use race until it's inconvenient to to say otherwise, and then they're like, oh, so you don't care that they're black, you just care about your politics. Just admit it. I have more respect. I care about my politics. I'm left-wing. All I want is left-wingers around me. I don't want anyone to challenge my ideology. I'd have more respect than somebody who says, oh, it's about black. Okay, well, I got you 50 black people here who disagree with you. Then it's not about black anymore, is it? So they just use people. It's really gross. Appreciate y'all. All right, I'll stay for like 20 more minutes, and then I'm going to head out. But it's nice to be back. It's really nice to be back. Can I explain the Lincoln Project and what their agenda is? I would have to look into deeper and who's involved. I know Kellyanne Conway's husband is involved. That's all bizarre. But I see what they're posting. They're definitely Republicans who don't like Trump. I would have to look in further, but a lot of the Republicans who don't like Trump, the Romneys, the McCains, the Lindsey Graham types, they have a whole ulterior motive. At this point, it doesn't make much sense. But I would have to look into like who they are and what they're doing. But overall, I don't even care anymore. It's like what's going on is so clear. It's so simple. If you're like Joe Walsh and you've been a Republican your whole life and now you're flipping to Democrat or something, it's like this is the weirdest time to do that. But to each their own, Thank you, Diane. I appreciate you. Let me see. I've been banned on TikTok. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I deleted TikTok. It's kind of creepy. Is there going to be food shortages? I don't know. I don't know. At a certain point, though, like society needs to keep it moving. I think we should be fine, but anything's possible in this world. Like we're being challenged systemically right now. We've had a functioning country that had excess everything, and they shut our country down. China's been open for a while now. Our country's being destroyed, and every country from China to Russia to the enemies from within. Everybody knows our biggest weakness, they've known this for 100 years, is racial division and racial tension. They've known this is how they could exploit our society because, as you've heard, America is a great melting pot. And in some ways, that's what makes America so special. But on the on the scale of human, history and human nature for all time and even now, we're one of the most racially diverse countries in the world. So if they can always use that as a way to split us up and exploit us, that's what they're doing. That's what they've done for hundreds of years, and that's what they're doing in Overdrive now. So I don't know how long this is going to last, but to be honest, I think the truth is things that you can't say anything anymore. The more I learn about history, the more I read, the more I discuss with people. I watch everybody, these people, the left wing, the right wing, this person. I watch everything to see what's true and false. And what I notice is the most censored people in history, or the most censored people on the internet, the most hated and banned and destroyed, it's not always the meanest people or the biggest liars. It's usually people who are saying something that other people aren't saying. But to me, shutting them down doesn't mean I'm right. I'm better than you, I win. It's like, that's not how it works to me. So what I'm noticing is a lot of the discussions that really need to be had are not allowed to be had, So I think the left wing doesn't want to talk about anything anymore. It's like the party of George Carlin and Noam Chomsky. I'm sure, I don't know that he was a liberal, but I think George Carlin was a liberal, and liberals used to be more edgy. Now they're not edgy at all. They don't want to say anything. They don't want you to say, so it's like Noam Chomsky always believed in free speech, even though he was like an anarcho-communist. Now they would never do that. So it's like the left doesn't want to talk about anything. That's why they're such liars. They think everything's a threat to their existence, like every single word and phrase, yet they're allowed to do whatever. But then even on the right wing, they allow a certain discussion, they have a certain framing of things. And then if you go too far, even the right wing kind of cuts you off. And it's unhealthy. It's like when you can't freely talk about stuff, things bubble up. So I see that happening in this country. I think, we really have to fight for free speech, because the real conversations that need to be had are almost non-existent. And it doesn't mean it's going to go away. You're going to find yourself in a situation that we find ourselves in now, where nothing makes sense, everything's shutting down, and we can't go back to normal, and no one seems to have a plan. So we'll see. I'm trying to read some comments. Let me see. They shut down the Foster's Farm plant on the West Coast, even though, in Democrat areas, they're self-sabotaging. They're just like, I'm not even joking with Los Angeles. I lived there for 8 years. It was slowly declining. And this year they just metaphorically nuked it. Like nothing's working, and they're not allowing things to work. They're arresting people and shutting off their power for throwing parties and running gyms. They're going full communist. Like, what do you call it when you're not even allowed to have people over your house? They shut off your water and throw you in jail for a year. That's not freedom. So you can call it something else. They're trying to destroy themselves and us. So I don't know how far this is going to go. Yeah, if you close down a food plant, you're not going to have any food. And it seems like that's what they want to do. I don't know what the heck they're thinking. I don't know if they have a plan. Maybe they're purposely trying to cut off food to control people. Maybe they're just totally incompetent and insane and they can't function properly. I'm not sure, but it's like trying to think in their mind just makes you exhausted. I'm not that big of a liar. So it's like doing gymnastics to figure out I don't know, someone slapping themselves in the face. Why are they doing it? I don't know. Are they really dumb? Or do they have a secret plan? I don't know. Thank you, Leah. Someone said, until you have an honest discussion on topics, nothing will get better. And they've been doing this for a century now. They've been censoring so many discussions. And some of the worst things that happen in this country, they always disguise it in movements that seem like they're so good. That's how they do it. Because if they tell you the truth and it's not good, no one wants to do it. Or most good people don't want it. It's all about deception. It's all about how do we make this look amazing, give it this nice name and say you're racist if you disagree. even in the book I'm reading, he's talking about integration. And basically what he's saying is, as liberals were doing it, they were destroying black businesses and black schools. So they were telling them, we're going to help you, we're going to help you, you're going to go live with the white people. But meanwhile, they're closing and destroying a bunch of black businesses. And Manning Johnson was basically saying, why would you close our black school? If you want to integrate, that's fine, do your thing, but you don't have to destroy what we had. A lot of these liberals back in the day destroyed a bunch of black businesses and a bunch of black schools. He's like, he was complaining in the book, he was like, 500 black teachers are unemployed now because liberals said, you can't have black schools anymore. You're not allowed to teach your kids. We're going to send you over here. It's like, leave people alone. If Malcolm X and Manning Johnson want to teach black kids, let them teach black kids. If you want to do the white thing, you can do that. They're always forcing everyone to do everything in the name of inclusion and justice. But really what they do is just take your stuff and make it so you don't succeed. You can look at certain statistics of wealth and ownership in the 50s and 60s, and then to now, a lot of things have declined, parents in the household being one of them. So something's going on. It's not to say everything's good or everything's bad, but these are the discussions that you can't even have because they're always masking these really great things and then taking your stuff, destroying your schools, destroying your businesses, smearing any black leader who stands up to them, from Malcolm X to Manning Johnson to Booker T. Washington. Booker T. Washington and W.E.B. Du Bois didn't like each other. Booker T. Washington was a patriot. W.E.B. Du Bois was a communist. He tried to join the Communist Party in his old age. So you learn about W.E.B. Du Bois in school, they probably don't teach you that he was a communist, and him and Booker T. didn't get along. And same with Manning Johnson, didn't like him either, because they were legit. These people were sneaky. So it's like, I'm relearning history through the eyes of people who are way smarter, and I'm like, wow, I never learned that in school. But they don't care. They're like, this happened. It's like, no, it didn't. You just took things. And that's a good comment. I'm read that. Terry said the only inclusion they are interested in is being included in the ownership of absolutely everything. Bang. That's a great comment, Terry. That's exactly it. It's like me, I'm helping you. You can't disagree or you're racist. It's like, just leave us alone. They didn't do it in the 30s. They didn't do it in the 40s. They didn't do it in the 50s. They're not doing it now. They just never leave people alone. They're always taking, they're always subverting, they're always harassing. They did the same thing in the early 1900s. There were black Republicans in the 1800s. Look up Hiram Revels in 1870, worked for the Republican Party. In the early 1900s, the only black people you would find in government were in the Republican Party. So who was the KKK? Who was harassing them? It was the Democrats. And then they would smear anybody who disagreed with them as KKK members. In this book I have, he says, in the chapter, he says, anybody who disagrees with them, if they're black, they call them an Uncle Tom. And if they're white, they say they're fascist and KKK. What do they say now? They say, no racist, no KKK, no fascist, no USA. It's the same thing. It's a communist scheme to smear anybody who stands up for themselves as a fascist or a KKK member. They've been doing this for 100 years. They did the same thing back then. They would steal everything, harass you if you didn't vote for them, threaten you, wouldn't work with you. Then they'd come to your community, take away hundreds of jobs, close down your schools, close down your businesses, and say it's integration. What type of integration it is? You're integrating your hands into their business and their schools and their jobs, and it's not right. It's like, let people come to their own decisions and conclusions and do it. But this is the thing. When people have their own decisions and their own conclusions, millions of people don't want to be liberals. Millions of people don't want to pay higher taxes. Millions of people don't want to be forced to pay for health insurance. Millions of people don't want to do everything upside down, so they don't. This is why liberals have to take everything, because in a free society, most people reject their wickedness. The only way to implement all their ideas is to steal and force it on people. You have to listen to me. You have to close down your party, or else I'm going to shut off your water or power. How does that make any sense? 10 people in a house is going to spread COVID, but not 10,000 people in a casino or 20,000 people in Washington, D.C.? It's not science. They just scream science. Science! That's not, just because you scream science doesn't mean you own science. And the biggest lie that they have, that Facebook and Google are all buying into, there is no such thing as scientific consensus. The greatest scientists and discoverers and entrepreneurs and engineers and people who discovered everything, Every great person in society challenged the consensus, from Galileo to Albert Einstein to Nikola Tesla to the Wright brothers to Watson and Crick. Anybody that did anything semi-worthwhile didn't do what everyone else did. That's how they came to their conclusions. When you don't have a plane, you can't follow the science consensus. You got to go outside the box to create something even better. That's what science is. It's discovering, experimenting, making equations, and saying, this is the best we got now. Try to prove me wrong. But what is Facebook doing? What is Google doing? They're saying, this is what we have. This is what government decided. This is what Facebook decided. This is what World Health Organization and Bill and Melinda Gates decided. This is what Fauci decided. And anybody who questions us is anti-science. That's not science. Watson and Crick didn't follow the scientific consensus. They did their own discovery and discovered something no one else could do. The Wright brothers didn't follow the scientific and engineering consensus of the plane industry, or you wouldn't have planes. They created their own because they were smarter than everybody else. Albert Einstein didn't follow everybody. Nikola Tesla didn't follow everybody. No great scientist in human history ever stayed in a box. They want to put you in a box and control you and not allow you to be intelligent. It's a total lie. And it's so sick what Facebook is doing. And they have all these little minions, their little, oh, we're going to take your posts down. Oh, we're going to put a fact checker on you because we want to. It's like, no one wants to listen to you. You're a liar. You have to censor everybody else. There is no such thing as science. Well, the scientists who were paid by the government say that this is happening. That doesn't mean it's right. You could have 1,000 people who say the wrong thing, and then a smarter scientist comes along and comes up with something smarter, and no one cares what the other people said because they're not smart. If you have a bunch of people who are 3 foot tall, thousands of people agree that they could beat LeBron James in basketball. It doesn't matter that thousands of people agree. If they can't, they can't. It's not a competition of like, how many people can I get to agree with me? So that's the science. It's like, how many people thought the food pyramid was a good idea? Eat lots of bread and dairy. Drink as much cow's milk as possible. Yeah, drink a lot of milk and eat a lot of bread. That's not a good diet. No smart health person on the planet is saying like, do that as much as you can. You could do it. I eat bread and drink milk, but it's not like my bones are so strong because I drink so much milk. The food pyramid was a lie. I'm sorry. And you could look up, there's like Salon articles talking about how it was a big agriculture psyop from the beginning. They had a lot of special interests, they had a lot of big money, and they created something that sold the products that got them money. And that's the same thing that's going on with the medical industry now. And I could care less if they censor me because of it. That's what's happening now. Big money, big special interests, billionaires who put their hands into everything want to micromanage and control society and stop any intelligent, innovative scientist who understands that it's not true and throw them to the side. Why does Bill Gates and the World Health Organization get to decide what people say about the virus? Luc Montagnier discovered the HIV. He's smarter than all of them when it comes to virology. He has a Nobel Prize because he discovered something. He didn't just follow the trend. He found something that no one else could find because he was smarter or more innovative than them. So why should they get to shut down what he thinks about the virus? But that's what they're doing. Anybody who agrees with him will get a fact checker. Why? I don't necessarily agree with him. I don't necessarily disagree with him. I don't know, but I want to hear his opinion, and then I want to hear your opinion, and then I want to come to my own conclusion or understand, hey, you know what? Science isn't settled. It's something that we have to learn. But they're PR agents of cover-up. They cover up anybody who talks about that. Stop talking about it. We can't let you see that, which kind of seems like they're guilty, doesn't it? It kind of seems like they have something to hide rather than something to prove. They can't prove it, so they hide it. They can't compete, so they destroy. This is a tactic that they do in every industry. It's so sick. Science is not a consensus, and it'll never be, no matter how much they lie. It's big global powers, big money interests collaborating with mainstream media and big tech to control the entire discussion of a subject that's supposed to include experiments and discoveries. That's what it is. Well, they said that this is what Mars did, so stop looking at your telescope. You can't say otherwise. It's always changing. It's always growing. There's been huge discoveries that we've thought were real for 100 years, and then someone comes around and finds something new, and the whole narrative around it changes. That's the beautiful thing about learning and growing and discovering. But they don't want people to discover. They want a bunch of pawns and lemmings who just think that everything they say is right, and questioning them is some sort of mortal sin that needs to be taken off the internet. It's so gross. And I'll tell you, I'm going to do the same thing I did with my live streams for the reason of what they did. I'm going to leave them up here for 24 hours most of the time. And if you want to watch the live streams after I go live, you could go to my YouTube page. I'm going to put them all on my YouTube page because I don't really care about YouTube. So that's kind of the flow I like to do. I like to go live on Facebook, put them onto YouTube and bitchute.com/dreamrare. BitChute, BITCHUTE. It's a free speech platform that doesn't censor as much as YouTube. And I leave my videos, my other videos up. Someone said division should only be taught in math. That's a good one. Someone said Pluto changed from a planet to an ice ball how many times? Yeah, they're like, Pluto's a planet. It's not a planet. It's a planet. It's not a planet. Oh, no, the science is settled. I thought you can never disagree with what you said. They don't know what they're talking about. Most of the ocean is unexplored. All of this stuff they do in Antarctica, I read their articles. And then this is why they hate me, because I'm not a liar. There's a lot of people on the right who do lie. There's a lot of right-wingers who don't do their research. There's a lot of right-wingers who post stupid stuff all the time. It's not a competition. I'm just saying there's people who are sloppy. I'm not sloppy. I read their articles. I read the NASA articles that they talk about Antarctica. I read in their own words. And then I quote it and they say, how dare you disagree with us? I'm like, I'm quoting you. I'm quoting NASA. It's just they give you the headline. They give you all the, you can't disagree with us. And then you read their own article and you're like, oh, it's growing? Oh, there's more ice. You only study the outskirts of it. You can't even measure the snowfall because there's too much. It's not my words. It's their words. They're not God. They think they're God. They don't have access to all the information. They don't know as much as they claim they know. And they know that they don't know, but they just don't want you to disagree. It's very sneaky. It's the opposite of American innovation, which is why they hate anybody who innovates. In my opinion, who's the best liberal on the planet? The most innovative, liberal-minded person. The most innovative scientist or engineer or entrepreneur on the planet right now. I'm just saying it's Elon Musk. Regardless of what you think about him, he brought solar self-driving cars to the market and they work fine. He actually has rockets that go up and land, so you know that they're doing something because he actually lands it. So he's made reusable rockets so they don't just waste a lot of money. He actually builds stuff, and he hates communists. He says communism is a stupid idea because all the communists want to bother him. They can't build anything. They just want to destroy. They can't innovate. They try to destroy innovators. So he doesn't even like communism, and he's more liberally. He's like, you guys got to build something and produce. If you don't produce anything, there's nothing there, which is why it always leads to famine and destruction, because they go after the food industry. They go after the Elon Musk. They go after the Donald Trumps. They go after you. They go after the car business. They go after the mom and pop shop. They go after Amazon. They go after Walmart. They go after everybody. And then what's left? They can't grow food. They're not farmers. They don't know how to do anything. So they're going to lead us to starvation. This is what they're doing in this country. They're shutting down. But they have a sneaky way to do it. They have a scheme or a science thing or this or that to push it forward and say, if you disagree with me, you're anti-science. If you disagree with me, you're racist. No, I see what they're doing. They're destroying our society on every level. And even the best liberals are leaving. They're leaving California for Texas or actually innovating stuff and saying, leave me alone. These are not builders. These are not creators. It's so, and I have friends that are like, well, it's never worked because it's going to work this time. Look at the people in the streets who are pushing communism. Look at the Democrats who support it. They don't do anything. Why do you think it leads to starvation every time? It's not a coincidence. I'm reading the book. I have it on my table. It's really dumb. Color, Communism, and Common Sense by Manning Johnson. Really smart. Really, really articulate. Karl Marx was a moron. It's one of the dumbest books I've ever read. It's like people think, it's like 40 pages long. And it's like the working class needs to fight the upper class. It's like he doesn't talk about banks. He doesn't talk about usury loans. He doesn't talk about, any of like anything. It's like, just go after people who produce things. It's like, oh yeah, why does it always fail? Because it's a stupid ideology. It doesn't even include the wealthiest people. It's turning people against small business owners and bigger businesses. Meanwhile, the people at the top of the pyramid who control everything else are laughing hysterically. They're like, you're just killing each other like animals. Like that, you're never getting my money. It doesn't work. It's one of the stupidest books I've ever read. But You know, I'm gonna finish. I'm like on page 20. I'm like, people think this is like, no wonder why they're out burning things, because they can't do anything of value. Someone said, welcome back. Thank you, Linda. Welcome back. Welcome. All right, it's 4:23. I'm gonna head out in 7 minutes. Just pop in the back. Thank you, Laurel. I appreciate you. God bless you. It's nice to be back. I appreciate you guys. Someone says, CEOs get richer while everyone else goes broke. What's the way to change that? Well, it's kind of difficult when you have the government shutting down business. I mean, the answer, before last year was, I think, a lot easier. But right now, we have to open back up. We have to get to a point where our society is like functioning like normal, and then we can make moves. This whole year, when March came along, I'm thinking in my head, 2 weeks of shutdown is devastating. 2 weeks for a small business, 2 weeks for these other businesses to level up on you, that's a long time in the business world. You're paying rent, you're paying workers. To shut down anything, it's like shutting down a car in the winter. It's really hard to start back up. So even shutting down for 2 weeks is crazy. We've shut down for 6 months, and only one side of politics wants to open back up. You gotta vote. You don't have to, but it's like, I'm voting all Republican. And there's a lot of things I disagree with Trump and this and that. Only one party wants to open up. The other one wants chaos and just destruction. You shut down the country for a year. You destroy gyms and small businesses. We're going to live in hell. This is crazy. So in order to stop the rich from getting richer, we have to open up. Bezos is crushing. Buffett is crushing, which doesn't even make sense because he's supposed to own a bunch of stocks, and the stocks went down before. So I don't know how he profited when everything went down. Pretty strange. But I don't know. I'll have to look into it. But all these billionaires are crushing because they have no competition. And I'll tell you, the media is doing great too. I'm doing better than ever. I'm not saying unfortunately, but like these media types that are telling you they don't want to open, they're doing better than ever because everybody's stuck at home, so they have to watch videos and watch television. So they're doing fine. It's the small business owner that's getting screwed, and a bunch of people are on unemployment making more money than they did, screwing over the owners. So we have to open up. That's the first and most important thing. Once we fully open up society again, if it ever happens, then we can have a conversation about how to raise wages and how to shift wealth, not to the government, but to the people. But we can't do that with everything closed. The first step is to open. Someone said Idaho tried to get rid of the state of emergency. It didn't work. I have to look it up. It's weird stuff's going on. Brian said you're a true American. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate you. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to see your DM. Sorry, brother. Someone said they're making money because they knew it was coming. It's a possibility. I remember last year, a bunch of Trump supporters, like the Q people, they were telling everybody, guys, everyone's going to get arrested because the CEO stepped down. And I'm like, CEO stepping down doesn't mean, that's not a bad thing. It means they knew it was coming, or they had good foresight and they left their company. What happens when you step down? You don't have responsibility. You can take out your stocks, you can cash out. So they were trying to perpetuate to a bunch of Trump supporters that the CEOs stepping down means that the CEOs are scared. They're not scared. They're on an island somewhere with 50 times as much money as you have because they saw it coming. So it's like people, this is the problem with a lot of other people. Like they get so caught in certain things that they just make stuff up all the time, where it's like, yeah, the CEO stepped down. I'm so glad. Why are you glad? That means they cashed out their stocks, made 10 times as much money. Like people thought at the beginning of the shutdown's a secret good operation where Trump's going to get everybody. Trump's trying his best, trust me, but this shutdown was not a secret operation. This shutdown was the bamboozling of the United States of America into chaos. And now these people are figuring that out. After cheering it on, they're like, yay, shutdown. It's like, what are you guys doing? Come on. This is why you can't get emotional, and you can't believe that your agenda is bigger than God, or your agenda is bigger than telling the truth. No matter if you're left wing or right wing, if you think I'm allowed to lie, I'm allowed to be wrong, I'm allowed to post fake information, I'm allowed to be inaccurate, I'll believe anything because I'm emotional. If you become that type of person, you become a wicked person, or you do bad work. You know, that's how they get both sides. They make you think that you're such a good person that you're above the golden rule of like, if you don't want CNN to post fake news, just because you're a Trump supporter, you can't post fake news. You get what I'm saying? So it's like some people think they're better, they're above like being honest, but that's how you turn into like a Bubba Wallace situation. It's like after everything melted down with that, the NASCAR and everyone was like, still, it was this. It's like, it was a rope with a knot on it. You could call it a noose, but they took a picture up close. It's like, there's those type of knots in garages all over the country where it's okay. But it's like, well, it's like they just never admit they were wrong, which makes people not like them more. It's like, call it what you want, but at a certain point, you're just a liar. Like, and you don't have to do this. But people think, my agenda is so good, I'll do anything. It's like, now you're a terrible person. Just stop. Do I think there's any way Trump wins? Yeah, I think it's looking good. I think it's looking really good. I think the RNC was phenomenal, honestly. I said before the RNC started, I said, there's some liars in there, but I said overall they picked a lot of good speakers. I knew Jack Brewer was going to be good, Herschel Walker, Vernon Day. I saw the speaker list and I was like, Dana White. I was like, they got some good speakers. It's going to be pretty good. I knew it was going to be good, but they blew me away. It was fantastic. It's better than Fox News. Whoever last night with Trump's speech and then the fireworks and the opera singer, it was phenomenal. Like, that was the best thing the Republican Party's probably ever done when it comes to media. It was fantastic. So I think that woke a lot of people up. The Democratic National Convention was creepy. The riots are too much. Most people don't want all this, so they know who's protecting them. Not everybody, but some. But overall, I think the polls are shifting way in Trump's direction, and I think they're getting nervous because everything they do is a short-term thing. For instance, when COVID first started, it's going to move Trump down. His economy disappeared. The great economy that everyone loved is gone. So now Trump is sinking in the polls. But after months of Trump handling it, Trump always gets hit hard and then he inches his way back up. You get what I'm saying? So the riots happen. When the riots happened, Trump went down way dramatically and Biden started rising like 20%. So when the riots first started, they helped the Democrats. A bunch of left-wing organizations got millions of billions of dollars of fundraising. They used it as an excuse to push their political ideology into everything. It's everywhere now. You can't avoid it. And if you do, you're a bad person. So they used it to surge. But then over time, it fails. So now the riots are actually going against Biden. The riots are going against the Democrats. Everything they do works for a little bit, and then it tanks. And Trump's the opposite. He just rises. So Biden he's not going to get any bigger. You get what I'm saying? Trump's not going any lower at this point, unless they do some crazy thing and it drops for a little bit. Overall, it's like Trump debating Biden. They're supposed to debate 3 times. There's a 10% chance Biden actually debates Trump. He's for sure figuring out how to get his way out of it. A Zoom call, fact checkers, making up some fake thing and saying Trump actually canceled it. He can't get on the stage with Trump 3 times. If Joe Biden gets on a stage with Donald Trump 3 times and does a full-scale debate for America, Trump's going to go 10 points above him. Trump's going to win the election in the landslide. They know this. They're going to use every excuse. Trump's a great debater. Biden is a horrible speaker, and he's at the end of his career. It's not going to work. They have to get out of this. So I think Trump has a huge chance of winning. The Senate and the House, that's a coin flip. Well, the Senate, I think the House is going to be harder for Republicans to win. But when it comes to Trump, I think Trump's going to win. I think they need to do a lot of sneakery. I think they need to, challenge the results if they come in and Trump wins in a landslide. So we'll see what happens. But I think he's gaining momentum, and I think they're kind of flailing. So someone said, will Biden concede? Well, here's the thing. Hillary said, I think Biden shouldn't concede. They're already planning. Kamala's saying these riots won't stop. She's calling them protests, but we see what's going on. Anytime when hundreds upon thousands of gun owners, they all went to Virginia. Not a single one of them did anything violent. They protested peacefully and went home. Every single peaceful protest that these people show up at, they're always violent. They're always rioting. They're always looting, and they don't care. So They're going to continue that. They're going to challenge the results. It's going to be a crazy November. There's like virtually no chance that this is a smooth election. I think Trump's going to win, and I think they're going to go crazy, but whatever. Someone said, I think Trump could speak a little humbler and still be strong. He can, but I don't know. To me, I look at like people like Trump and Kanye. It's like there's nobody like Trump, so I don't want to be that critic. I mean, I challenge him. I disagree with when he's wrong and when he makes mistakes. But like as far as his personality, who else would be able to go in there, win, get attacked every single day? The Republicans are against him. The Democrats are against him. Romney's against him. McCain's against him. Everybody's turning on him. You have to be somewhat of a Looney Tune to be able to do that. Or you have to be somewhat of a jerk. How else do you even pull that off? So I'm more concerned with when he turns his back on free speech, or he sells out the Second Amendment, or he starts a war. To me, that's a bigger deal than if he like speaks or is too like narcissistic or something. At a certain point, you have to be strong. And I agree with you. There's certain parts where he kind of digs himself in a hole, but at a certain point, how else do you do this? It's like with Kanye. Like, a lot of people don't like Kanye, but it's like there's not a lot of people doing like gospel albums. Like Kanye's gospel album is beautiful. I've seen it live. It made me cry. It was like the greatest thing ever. Who else is doing that? If you want to hate on Kanye or Trump, you got to create your own. But the people who are like, I wouldn't do that, it's like, yeah, but I'm not Trump. I handle myself differently. I would do it differently. But I'm not going to sit here and tell him who he is because I'm not Trump. And I don't know that I wouldn't have been able to win. I don't think I would have been able to beat the Republican Party. I don't think I would have been able to put up with all the stuff he put up with. If they drilled me for 3 years like they drilled him, I can almost guarantee, I wouldn't have handled it as well. So it's like to put up with the abuse he's put up with, I'll take a few like narcissistic comments now and then. I don't think it's the biggest deal, but I hear a lot of people say that, and certain times I like read what he's saying, like, what's he doing? But I don't know. I kind of, in a weird way, I sympathize with him because when you're a public figure, when you're Trump, what they do historically, anybody who's challenged them, anybody who's challenged the media, anybody who's gone at the establishment over the last 100 years, they try to destroy your character, change the history, destroy all the good things you've done, and make you look like the most evil person on the planet. This is what they always do. So with Trump, they're trying to smear his good name. He's been famous his whole life and successful and everyone loved him. And now they're trying to treat him like a Disney villain. So, he's his own PR team. His Twitter is all he has. Even Fox News is turning on him. So the real history, it's like I say certain things about myself sometimes, not to brag, but to be like, this is my real history. This is who I am from my mouth, because they're going to lie about me. Trump gets more abuse than me. He can be more narcissistic. He can go over the top where even I'm like, come on, bro. But they're destroying his history. They're destroying his identity. He's like, this is who I am. I'm the real deal. I'm strong. I had a big crowd. It's to some people it's annoying, but to me, I get it, because if you don't do anything in the public, it's hard to really understand. But like for me, they don't write about me, which is fine. I'm glad, because they're psychopaths. But when they write about me, I can almost guarantee you they're going to wait for some bad event in my life. They're going to wait for something that they could get out of context or one mistake or something. And then they're going to blast it in every single newspaper. And they're going to try to convince generations to come that I was this horrible person who did nothing, that accomplished nothing, that didn't help a bunch of people, that didn't do great work and made good journalism. They'll try to ruin my image for the rest of my life. So I think he's fighting against that. And his way is a little over the top, but you almost got to. Like, a lot of people in history that tried to do certain things, they don't get good treatment from, I would have never heard of the book that I just told you about if it wasn't for G. Edward Griffin, but they don't teach about him in school. They don't teach about Malcolm X because Malcolm X challenged liberals in the media and also other people. So it's like anybody who really goes at the power structure gets destroyed. So I think in order to fight back, sometimes you got to be a little bit of a dick. I don't know. I sympathize with them, but I hear you. Everybody says that to me. They're like, I don't like that he does that. Me, I watched a speech yesterday. I was like, dang, that was amazing. It was so good. No, his children are great. I mean, he did a fantastic job for sure. I mean, they're all very nice, present themselves well. Barron Trump is like 10 feet tall. He's like the tallest person on the planet. Every time he comes back, I said he's going to grow a foot every year. By the time, 2050 comes, Barron's going to be 50 feet tall, and he's going to run for president and win unanimously, like 50-foot tall man. I'm going to read this comment. Fabiola said, in our country, we're told to be shut up, be fake, half honest, immoral. Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know. It's like certain people, I like Trump so much more than like any other politician. No one's like him. And if you like, I've seen him in person. I got to go to the White House. It's like you watch comedy on television and it's funny, but you go and see a comedy show in person, it's 10 times funnier. There's something about being at a comedy show in person. It just makes it so much funnier. Trump is a funny guy. He's so funny. He doesn't have a laugh track. They did this thing on Twitter. They put a laugh track behind him like they have on Seinfeld. It made it so funny. Like, if you took away the laugh track out of Seinfeld, it's not funny. They only like make you think it's really funny because of the laugh track. But with Trump, he's really funny without a laugh track. So in person, he was really genuine and really funny and really like engaging. Like, he's a good speaker. So I don't know. I like his attitude. I like his whole persona, kind of. I think he's wildly interesting. But everybody's got their own thing. Yeah, I don't think it's like nice to be a liar. Like, Mitt Romney was not nicer than Trump. He's a liar. John McCain was not nicer than Trump. He's a liar. Barack Obama was not nicer than Trump. He was just sneakier. Like George Bush was not nicer than Trump. He was just, status quo. I like a good bang. You know what I'm saying? Tell me what I don't want to hear. Tell me what the people don't want to hear. Say it. What's that? You like the national anthem? Just say it. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. But just give me the truth. All right, I'm going to take off, guys. I appreciate you. God bless you. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. I'm so glad to be back. I don't know what Facebook's going to do. I can't really say, but if you can, sign up to my free email list at stayintouchwithme.com, and hopefully they don't mess with me. I anticipate things getting crazier, but I hope that they don't. If you want to watch my live streams again, you can go to YouTube or my BitChute page and watch them there. But if not, you know me, I'm out here working. When they shut me down, I just go into Super Saiyan mode. I'm like, all right, now I got to put my feet to the pavement and make 10 videos. So I'm going to just crank out video. Most people, they do a video every couple days. I'm out here just working, editing. I got videos on videos. I already got 2 videos in the chamber. That's all we got. So I'm going to work on some new music, but I like the videos. I'm on the video vibe. So, just keep tuned. I appreciate you guys being here, and I'm so glad to be back. It's nice to answer questions, talk to people. On my biggest platform, they took away 8,000 people and turned it into 500, but it's all good. We're back, and hopefully we stay this way. So thanks for being here. And supporters only live stream next week. I'll probably, now that I have my live streams back, I'll probably do one tomorrow. I'll just start shooting out live streams because I have the capability, but I don't want to get off course with my regular videos too. Appreciate y'all. Have a good day. I'll be back.